Hello everyone, welcome to episode 37 of Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ and MySpace and of course YouTube. Thank you everybody for watching last week. A lot of comments about one particular person on the show last week, and it wasn't anybody I talked about. In the middle of my sign-off last week, we saw a black and white promo from a certain former co-host of mine on XMV. For those of you who remember XMV, I hope you do. You've seen some of the video clips that Aaron has posted in the last year or so since we started doing Talk Wrestling. Mike Nagel is apparently back on the internet media circuit, if you will. He's bought commercial time on this show, which shows how popular this show is, by the way. Mike has taken it upon himself to use his friendship with Aaron to get his business over. Hey, more power to him, I guess. So be prepared for the next Nagel commercial whenever that happens. It will happen sometime today, I'm sure. But stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for your questions being answered. I went through 60-something questions, got 10 of the best ones, and we're going to go to it. This is from Phil. Should the second-generation superstars, DiBiase, Rhodes, and Manu, reform Evolution with Deuce, who is Jimmy Snuka's son, even though he's adopted, and Jesse from Jesse and Festus, who is actually Terry Gordy's son. He's Ray Gordy. Should they reform Evolution with those two guys, or would that be too big a stable? Should Flair come in and advise them? Should Triple H come in and advise them? I think that Evolution's time has come and gone. I firmly believe that. Evolution was great for its day, but it's done with now. I like the stable of DiBiase, Rhodes, and Manu. I don't think they need to add any more people. Maybe Deuce, if they do it right. The problem is they had Deuce come out as Deuce. They had him come out as the greaser guy, and he jobbed to, I think it was either JBL or Batista recently, so it kind of makes him look bad, but you know. Oh, what the hell? There's shit everywhere. Bugs and birds and planes and everything. It's crazy. This one's from Nick Madrid. How do you feel about wrestler autobiographies? Since the best-selling autobiography by Mick Foley, wrestlers have been writing them whether their careers are over or not, whether how long they've been in the company or not. Do you think they should be saved for the end of their career? Yes, I do. An autobiography is a memoir. A memoir should be saved for the end of your career, toward the end of your life. I mean, we didn't see Ronald Reagan's memoirs until he was already gone, God bless him. We saw his memoirs from the White House. You know, Mick Foley wrote his at what he thought was going to be the end of his career. Obviously, that's not the case. He wrote Have a Nice Day in 1999, and here we are still talking about Mick Foley in 2008. So he's going to be talked about probably for the next few months with being with TNA. But like The Rock had his come out not too long after Mick Foley's, and The Rock wasn't done for another 4 years. You know, Kurt Angle, same thing. Kurt Angle's nowhere near done in 2001. He's still wrestling. He's still a world championship contender in 2008. But guys like Hogan and Flair and, you know, Chris Jericho writing his about the first half of his career prior to WWE, that made sense. But guys like The Rock and Kurt Angle and, you know, those guys writing wrestler autobiographies doesn't make sense. But guys like Terry Funk, Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race, that makes more sense for sure. It's from Greg Cherry, our old buddy Greg Cherry. Thanks for sending the question again, Greg. Is it a problem that TNA won't give either of the beautiful people the TNA Knockouts title? They are centered around Kong and Taylor Wilde. Right now, they're centered around Kong and Roxy. That's the big feud in the Knockouts division right now. Taylor's kind of taking a back seat again. Kong is going to be the focal point of the Knockouts division. She's the most dominant knockout they have. She's going to be the focal point no matter if she's the champion or not. I do think either Velvet or Angelina should get a legitimate shot at the championship and not those jobs that they had against Taylor where Taylor beat Velvet 3 times in the span of like 30 seconds or whatever. That was stupid. I think the beautiful people deserve a legitimate chance. They're the most over heels in the company right now, in my opinion, and the fact that they were left off Impact was ridiculous. They should be featured every week. They're the best thing the heels have going on TNA right now, so it is a problem that they're not the champions. It is a problem that one of them is not the champion, and they should be showcased more. The story of my life, Southern Fried. These names, I tell you, these names on MySpace are incredible to me. Who could go to TNA and help the TNA tag team division? Because WWE seems to be doing something about their tag team division, but TNA kind of is in a stalemate, in a stalwart with their tag team division. Really, I don't think there's anybody that can help the TNA Tag Team division right now. They just need to build on what they have. I think they need to just build on Beer Money Incorporated, build on LAX, Team 3D, Rocket Rave Infection, the Prince Justice Brotherhood. All those teams can be built upon if they're pushed right, if they're built the right way. I think the TNA is making the whole tag team division rather goofy, if you want my honest opinion about it, and they're not taking it very seriously like they once did with AMW and Triple X and, you know, all those tag teams back in the heyday, the original TNA, back in 2002 to 2004. Who's the best tag team in wrestling today? Rhodes and DiBiase. They are the World Tag Team Champions on Raw. They are the best young team. They're the best team right now in wrestling, in my not-so-humble opinion. The best tag team of all time probably has to be the Road Warriors or the Dudley / Team 3D. You're asking for my opinion, that's what it is. There you go. This is from I wrote it down funky, so I can't read it. G Garage or GS Garage or something. I'm sorry I messed up your name, dude. What is your favorite all-time wrestling video game among the SmackDown vs. Raw games, the SmackDown games in general, WCW, WWE, No Mercy, and that kind of thing? SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 is my all-time favorite wrestling game. The graphics were great, the gameplay was good, the controls were easy. You could revert back to the old PS2 controls, so that was easy for me. And I like the legends on that game. You got Eddie, you got Hogan, you got Dusty Rhodes, Stone Cold, The Rock, Shane McMahon, Taz, Jerry Lawler, and the CAW on that game is great. I love my CAW character on that game. I created myself, and it's a great game. What? Oh, do we have to? Oh. Against my better judgments, the following announcement has been paid for by the Nagel World Order.
The following announcement has been paid for by the Nagel World Order.
Hey yo, want to make a fashion statement? Go to myworld.ebay.com/jsell for you. We got what you're looking for. Chris Jericho. We got your favorite movie star, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's jerseys, brand new and sealed. Hardy Boys merchandise, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and so much more. Check us out on eBay, because it's for life.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by the Nagel World Order.
Nagel's eBay site. You can buy all kinds of weird shit, all kinds of old merchandise. He'd probably sell your mom for $1.50, so put your mom up on eBay. He'll probably sell it for you. R.I.P. Ben Sutton, 1980, I think it's 86 to 2008. If I could choose WrestleMania main events for Raw and SmackDown right now, what would they be? In the Raw main event, I would like to see World Heavyweight Champion Chris Jericho, still be World Heavyweight Champion, defending against Batista. And on SmackDown, WWE Champion Jeff Hardy against Triple H in a rematch from No Mercy. This is from South Jersey Rocks. If you could pick any match from any era and put it on a WrestleMania, what would some of those matches be? Not just WWE matches I'm going to go with on this one. Any of the 3 Steamboat versus Flair matches that were on TV the year of '89, either at the Chi-Town Rumble, Clash of the Champions, or Wrestle War. Great 3-match series. Any of those 3 belong on pay-per-view at WrestleMania. Hogan Savage from WrestleMania 5, even though they had to, from what I understand, they practiced a lot of that match because Randy's kind of paranoid. Flair and Harley Race from Starrcade in the cage. Hogan Andre. Bret Hart and the British Bulldog from SummerSlam 92. Bret Hart and Kurt Hennig from SummerSlam 91. Mr. Perfect and Shawn Michaels. Mr. Kurt Hennig and Shawn Michaels from SummerSlam 93. Anything with Shawn Michaels, Kurt Hennig, Bret Hart, British Bulldog, Hogan, Piper, Flair, Steamboat, any of those guys belong on pay-per-view anytime. Bronson wrote a long email about seeing the AWA on ESPN Classics and wants my opinion on the AWA. I haven't seen much of the AWA except what WWE released on their Spectacular Legacy, the AWA DVD, and I like the AWA. They were responsible for some of the bigger names in wrestling: Hogan, Flair, Rhodes, the Rockers, Mean Gene Okerlund, Bobby the Brain Heenan. They all got their start in the AWA and arguably made their name in the AWA before they jumped to Vince and took off with the wrestling world in the 80s. AWA had a lasting legacy. They're still around in some form today through AWA Superstars of Wrestling. They claim lineage to the old World Championship. It's not the same championship, obviously, but that company claims lineage to the AWA, and rightfully so. You know, the AWA has a great legacy. They have a great title history. Some of the big names in wrestling held the AWA Championship. Nick Bockwinkel, Vern Gagne, guys like that. Maurice Vachon, the Mad Dog. Maurice was the Mad Dog. Paul was the Butcher. That's right. Okay, Mad Dog Vachon, those guys. Interesting to see what's going to happen with AWA guys being inducted in the Hall of Fame. You talk about AWA being released on DVD, and the current AWA is getting sued by WWE, or they have been sued by WWE regarding their use of the name, and the current AWA is just like, whatever, we have rights to it, we bought it, we licensed it, whatever, and the WWE is like, well, we own the trademark, so you got to go through us. So it's interesting. The current AWA Wrestling Superstars Wrestling Champion is Larry Zbyszko, who was the last AWA champion before they folded in '91. So interesting, very interesting to me that the AWA still continues on in some form to this day. Here we go. It's time for the question of the week. I understand the last week they did it on purpose. Real cute, guys. Very funny. I may not do it after this week. We'll see. Because I know this guy did do it on purpose. But it's still funny. This question was sent to me on September 15th. Keep that in mind. September 15th, I got this email. The rumors are crazy. They say the Wildcat left TNA to WWE and in 4 months will arrive in WWE. True or false? The Wildcat, those of you who don't know, is Chris Harris, who debuted as Braden Walker in WWE way before September 15th and was released before September 15th, as a matter of fact. It hurts. It really hurts. I'm not going to give the guy a name. I'm not going to give the guy's name because that's just rude. But they actually asked that question. He did. It's right here. There you go. I wrote it down off my MySpace. September 15th, 2008, he sent that question in, that Chris Harris was going to WWE from TNA and that he would be debuting in 4 months. Here he debuted. He already got released within 2 weeks. The Miz even made fun of it on ECW last week. That's how bad it was for Chris Harris. It's from Hale Shane. Opinion on WCW champions and WWE not being the true WCW champions. That's basically what he said. I feel that's kind of a lame argument. The WCW Championship carried over into the Invasion. They carried over when WCW was bought by WWE back in 2001. And the WCW title lineage continued from Booker T to Kurt Angle, back to Booker, to The Rock, to Jericho, to The Rock, and to Jericho again at Vengeance before they were unified with the WWF Championship. I think that they can be considered true WCW champions because they carried on the lineage and they had great champions. Booker T was a great champion. Kurt Angle was a good champion for 6 days. The Rock was a tremendous WCW champion. Chris Jericho, won the big one by winning the WCW Championship for the first time. That was a big thing for him, leading into him winning the Undisputed title 2 months later. It is not the same championship as the World Heavyweight Championship, despite what WWE wants you to think. It is the successor to the WCW title, but it's not the same title. Much like the WCW title was the successor to the NWA title in WCW, but it wasn't the same championship. Real quick before we sign off, I want to give my quick No Mercy picks. This is all the matches I know about off the top of my head. I kind of did this really quick, so I'm just going to go with it. Candice Michelle will regain the women's title from Beth Phoenix, getting her revenge from a year ago when Beth beat her for the title and then injured her a couple weeks later. Matt Hardy will retain the ECW title somehow over Mark Henry. Batista will become the #1 contender to Chris Jericho's World Heavyweight Championship. Chris Jericho will retain the World Heavyweight Championship over Shawn Michaels somehow, some way. And Triple H will just barely just barely get by Jeff Hardy and retain the WWE Championship. That's it for the predictions. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Talk Wrestling. Congratulations to Mike Nagel for interrupting my show again today. And stay tuned next week for more. Don't forget to get out and vote November 4th. BarackObama.com. I'm plugging it. That's right. I'm getting political on your asses. And we'll see you next week on Talk Wrestling.